Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your Unfiltered Fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, everybody. Today we have a good friend of mine and we go way back when. And I've been anxiously waiting to chat with her because I feel like her and I align in a lot of things, especially with the no BS kind of mindset.
No bullshit.
And no bullshit. Introducing you, welcome, Dianna Dahlgren Bates. What's up?
Well, I know. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you and everything you've accomplished. And life is flying by, isn't it?
Likewise. And I just wanted to leave this here. You are my flex, okay?
What do you
Just
mean?
so you know, you're my flex. Whenever I come across somebody who is familiar with the motocross world and they mention they're always excited, I'm like, do you know Dianna Dahlgren? And they're like, oh my God, yes. And I'm like, my girl. She's my girl.
Supercross or dirt bikes, man, they probably.
All right. So let me make a little bit of an official introduction here for our listeners. So Dianna Dahlgren is a mom, a wife. She is a former IFBB pro OG. We competed around the same time and 5 times Miss Supercross. And for a long time, she was involved with Supercross and I still are a little bit with extreme sports, even like rodeo, because I remember you came to Dallas. So welcome.
Thank
DD,
you so
what's
much.
up?
What's going on, girl? I definitely had quite a wild journey in my adult life. I will say that.
Do you remember how we met?
I don't remember the first time. Do you remember the first time we met?
I do, because I was like, you had a lot of experience with modeling, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Whenever you start competing, you had already been modeling for some time.
Right.
And had a shoot for Flex.
Oh, yeah.
You was the one that we shot. It was me, you, Nicole. I think Amanda was in it. Kathleen.
Yep.
And we
yep.
were in this big mansion in California.
Uh-huh.
And it was cold as hell at the end of the day. And you ended up being on the cover of Flex magazine. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. I remember that. And it was freezing at the cover shoot. I will tell you that. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that we had like heaters and stuff because they kept on saying that the bumps, like being cold, would show up. And then we had like a whole bunch of heaters and you had no top on. So it was like just your back. Do you remember?
Yes, of course. I do remember that. I didn't know that was the first time we had met though. And it's so funny because I remember like taking my top off. You guys everyone knows it wasn't like I was like boobs out for this shoot. I was covered.
Kind of. It was kind of.
It was inside. But I remember taking my top off and I remember everyone was like
Chris
bulging, like, whoa, what's she doing?
No way. Do you remember Chris's face? Chris wanted to die like 5 times, and then Alan was already dead under.
I don't know what they were looking like because I was just shooting the shot, but the shot made the cover. Like, so I was pumped about it because I was like, but it was already what I had been doing.
Yeah. And it didn't look trashy though. I don't think that any of this stuff, even the sexy stuff that you have always done, I always found it like it was sexy but not trashy. Like yeah. I always found that.
Well, that's nice of you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I think probably it was just I'd already been doing it a couple of years, like modeling a couple of years, like in swim and lingerie. Mm-hmm. So for me to like take off the top, I was like, oh, I'm going to fucking nail this shot. Sorry, am I allowed to say the F word on here?
Girl, have you met me? Yes, go for it.
No, I figured.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I was just like, I know exactly what they'll need for this magazine cover. And I just was like, Here, guys, let me help you out. Took my top off, covered my nipples, and I had it like in my finger or whatever, and then boom.
I remember that so vividly. Like, it's so funny because that was, and I'm going to tell right now, that was in 2010.
Yeah.
That's when it was. Which, before we get to the competing part, tell us a little bit about your boarding school experience.
Yeah. I'll give you a little synopsis of my life. So I was a troubled teenager. I grew up in action sports with my family. We loved to have a good time on the weekends. I wasn't really allowed to play too many team sports because we would travel on weekends and go on vacay all the time. So then when I became a teenager, I kind of started stealing my parents' cars like in the middle of the night. And then it kind of snowballed into other things. I was partying, I was drinking. I got sent away to boarding school when I was 15 for a year. And then when I came back, I basically had no other option as friends besides my parents. So I just hung out with them. I didn't have any high school because I'd already graduated at boarding school. And for 2 years till I turned 18, I was just basically, with them, and we went on all the vacays and everything. And then when I was 18, I was working for one of my mom's friends at a trade show, like just as a helper. She sold jewelry. And this guy came up from this t-shirt booth.
Is it something the vagina?
Yeah. How do you know that?
I know it.
Know that. That's so funny because I don't tell a whole lot of people that story because or that detail. But yeah,
What is the name of the booth? Please tell me.
This guy was selling t-shirts that literally said "I love vagina" on them. He was like,
dead.
It was. I was just like, wow. Actually, the funny thing is, I was on my break and I was walking around and I came across his booth and I laughed and I was like, Jesus, he would actually wear this. And I was only 17 at the time, actually. I was only 17 years old. And he goes, everybody loves it, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, oh, well, if you'd like to be a model. And looking back, he's probably like one of those old, like not old, but like creepy guys that was just trying to get the young girls like on the bandwagon.
We've met plenty of them in the fitness industry.
Totally in the fitness industry. Like you just know all the creepy guys. Well, I was like, sure, why not? So I end up going to a show like a month later. It's called the International Lingerie Show. It's a trade show where all the stores in Nordstrom's, Macy's, all the way down to your like triple X rated stores, they go there to buy lingerie to stock in their stores. And so he had asked like, hey, and I was still 17. He goes, hey, you should come meet my friend. My friend owns Renee Rofe International Lingerie. They're like one of the biggest manufacturers of lingerie. Because you want to model, you should come and meet them. At least maybe I can get your foot in the door. So I drove in my car from SoCal to Vegas, met them, totally hit it off with them. And then they booked me for the next show, which was 6 months later, which I was 18 at that show. So, hey, they didn't know. Yeah, that's what happened. And it kind of snowballed from there. I just started modeling.
Did your parents know that you were going to a lingerie kind of like trade show and things like that? Or did you skip that part?
Well, when I was 17, I don't think I told them I went to Vegas. I was like that. I was kind of like, because my parents are very conservative, very Christian, very like, I will say judgmental too. I just think they held me to a very high moral standard when I was a teenager. And I'm glad they did that because even if you don't rise to that high of a level of standard, you still aim for that level of standard.
Yeah, they're still keeping you to a standard. So when was it that competition became a thing? Like at what point in your life were you like, you know what, I'm gonna do bikini competitions?
It was shortly after that, actually. I started modeling. In my first year of modeling, I was traveling so much. I put on like 15 pounds.
Can you why were you traveling so much?
So like I was either booked at photo shoots or I was booked at events. So I started working. I shot, doing bikinis and lingerie. And then I got booked for Monster Energy. And then Monster Energy started flying me all over the place. And I just gained some weight. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. And so I met another girl. She's the girl who won the first ever Arnold amateur bikini competition. Her name was Allie Sonoma.
Okay.
She was like, hey, I'm competing in this fitness competition. It's like a bodybuilding, but it's like bikini. So it's not really bodybuilding. And I have to eat all this special food. And I was like,
the Ziploc bags. Fuck me sideways. Okay.
And so I seen her a couple months after that time. And then she said, I won my competition. And I said, what? She's like, yeah, my coach is in Temecula. I'm like, that's where I live. I'm born and raised Temecula Valley. And so I ended up looking her up and just because wasn't like super good friends with her, but I ended up looking up her interview on bodybuilding.com at the time. It was really popular. And my coach is Kim Odo, and he's in Temecula, California. And so I called his office and I made an appointment with him, and I went in the next week and I said,
hey, what's
I'll do
up?
competition. And I was just doing it to lose weight. I didn't realize that I would end up like being like, yeah, let's do this. Like pro. I had no idea what it was all about.
And you, like for the folks that don't know, I find it unlikely that they won't know, but just FYI. So Didi and I, we competed about at the same time. We were, I would say, like the first batch of IFBB pros, because you competed, your first competition was in 2009.
Yeah. And that was before pro shows existed for us.
Yeah. And then 2010 was the first Arnold.
You know what? I actually turned pro, or my first show, Amanda Latona took the overall. I took first in my class. She took the first in her class and the overall. And then we went to the same nationals. She ended up turning pro there at the USA's in July 2009. And then I turned pro at, what's the New York Pro Show? The one that they have with it, NPC.
Yeah. It's yes, is the North Americans, isn't it?
Was it the North Americans?
Yeah.
So yeah, I turned pro at that show, and I think I got the overall too, and I was pumped.
So when was that? Was it like end of 2009?
It was in 2009, and it was in August or September of 2009.
Okay.
It was right before Olympia. You know why? Because who won the figure competition there was Nicole.
Yes.
And she won the pro show and figure there. And then she went on 2 weeks later, we went to the Olympia and she won the Olympia.
Okay. So you started doing the whole regimen, and I know, and trigger warning, folks, we are going to be talking about eating disorders. So,
oh yeah,
FYI. We knew each other at a personal level, not from seeing each other in backstages and, the shoots and things like that. And you shared your experience with eating disorders. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Did I start crying too when I was telling everyone?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as you would though.
Yeah, I totally. So I just with the shows and with traveling for all my bookings, because I would do the Olympia 4 months out of the year, or my fitness competitions through the summer, and then I'd compete at the Olympia. I'd always skip the Arnold because I was doing Supercross. So in between that one half of the year, I would struggle with binge eating. I would get panic attacks around food. Oh God, it was just, I could never just live a normal, healthy life. Like food was no big thing. Like it didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. It was always like a frenzy, a fixation.
Yeah.
Where am I going to go? I'm going to plan my events around the food. Yeah. What food's going to be there?
Uh-huh.
And then it came to a point where it was almost like I was a little drug addict at certain times, especially when I was dieting. Like I was going in grocery stores and I'd walk up and down the dessert aisle, the ice cream aisle, for 40 minutes, like being like, oh my God, I'm not allowed to be here. I shouldn't be here on a diet, but I have to have an ice cream, but I don't want the whole box because then I'll eat the whole box. So I'm going to and I'd steal an ice cream bar. I'd literally take one out of the box and I'd put the thing back in the freezer and I'd walk out with one ice cream bar in my pocket because apparently that was okay in my mind.
Yeah. Forget being arrested for shoplifting an ice cream bar. Miss Motocross arrested at a Walmart down in Temecula for stealing an ice cream bar as she preps for the Olympia. That would be a cool headline.
That's exactly what it was like. And so that's kind of when I started realizing that I knew I had a problem. I'm so silly, but
and I love that you have been open about that, Didi, because and I think that's why we got along during our competition days, because I think we even talked about that back then. It's kind of like you would see all these people. Life is so good and it's so beautiful, and prep is just like it's just so good. And I'm like, who the fuck likes prep? And we always used to talk about that. And I had something similar as well. I knew every single 7-Eleven in a 5-mile ratio of my house. And I would go to every single one of them and buy a dozen cookies and eat them all on my way driving to the next one because I was embarrassed of being seen eating more than a dozen cookies in that one 7-Eleven. So I'll just stuff my face and go to like 5 of them.
Yeah. And that's the weird thing is where your brain goes when you
Yeah.
get into a mindset like that. And really it's just your pattern in your of thoughts really takes you down a deep hole. And to try to get yourself out of that hole, it seems like you're never going to get out of it. And then you start getting some proper help. That's what I did. I guess there's other ways you could do it. You could read books and do it on your own, but I went to an actual eating disorder center and they helped me.
That's I'm glad that you got that help. And now I'm a coach. I work with women, and a lot of the ladies that I work with now are moms who used to be involved in the fitness world or have done some kind of competition. And one thing that I see is them trying to replicate the things that they did then now. So let me ask you this. And okay, guys, if you don't want to take advice from me, former Miss Olympia, cool. So let's talk to another top competitor who is a mom of two.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, she is walking around getting me dizzy, chasing her daughter who is like crawling around all over the place. I love it. So can you imagine, Didi, trying to do what you did then to be in shape with the life that you have now? Can you imagine?
No, I could never imagine doing anything like that to not only myself, but to anyone else. I'm a former fitness coach. I've coached hundreds of women. And in my early days of coaching, I did give them the cookie cutter plan. I did tell them to eat nothing but lean meat and greens when I was first coaching. And that was before I got help. And then I started realizing, holy shit, like you cannot sustain a life of living doing this.
Yep.
You can't. And so it was about 9 months after that last Olympia that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to figure out this and I'm going to get some direction. And I had heard about Lane Norton at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's up, Lane?
I know, right? I love him so much. He's great. But I emailed him and his staff emailed me back right away. And I'm so blessed that his staff knew who I was. I'm not going to lie to you. When you email in and people know who you are, you get helped really quickly. And so I was, because he immediately reached out to me and was like, let's go ahead. Let's get you going. I just told him like, I'm 9 months postpartum of a horrible eating disorder, but I can't live like this. I can't be 165 pounds my whole life. Like this is horrible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I see. And I don't know, and because I don't think you coach anymore. Maybe
No, I
I'm
don't.
wrong. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that in your coaching days, you'd see like people are like, "Oh, but this worked," and I'm like, "Well, if you had worked, you wouldn't be here again." Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like if he had worked, you wouldn't have gained the 25, 30 pounds again. So something's not quite working. Like, stop it.
Yeah, I know. I do tell the girls that I used to have that once I learned all about macronutrient counting and really testing before I started teaching macronutrients, I really tested the theory for myself. And there was weeks where I would eat just junk food. I would eat lean protein with junk. And people would be like, that was when everyone was going crazy about the macronutrients. Oh yeah, it's just an excuse for you to eat a bunch of junk. And I'm like, I'm going to test the theory and see if I can lose weight. I was eating Oreos. As long as I would pair it with my protein, I was losing weight.
Yep.
And it was not derailing my weight loss journey. And that was when I really realized I'm not allergic to gluten. I'm not allergic to dairy. Okay. I can handle those in normal amounts, normal servings. I'm not like binging on them, and I'm not overeating on them.
You're not eating for a family of 25.
Exactly. And as long as I make sure my protein intake is there and I don't go over on my fats and carbohydrates,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm able to lose weight and teach that to a good amount of women. I coached probably for 2 years before I've just had to halt my programs, but I'm so busy. But I mean, it was a joy to have women literally being like, this is life changing. I can't believe I'm eating Oreos on a Tuesday night with a half glass of wine and I'm able to lose weight still. This is just mind boggling. And I'm like, isn't it amazing?
I love that because that's something that I see, and but it's heartbreaking as well whenever I hear women saying, "Oh, I'm just going to go back to my prep coach," and I'm like, "Your prep coach is who got you here to begin with. Stop it." I digress.
I have one girl that I helped, and it's always the girls who you help free of charge who don't do the program. The ones that pay,
Oh, yes.
always will stick to. I mean, you have your few bad apples who will still bounce out even after they've paid. No refund, sorry. But I will I will tell you, this one chick I had helped her, and she was a former actually ambassador of my business, and her husband was a personal trainer, and so I didn't know that he was in control of her diet. I didn't know their history, but
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst when the husbands are, and I mean, there are good husbands out there, but I digress.
yes, if they don't know nutrition. You might know how to lift weights, you might know how to put someone through a stellar workout. Do you know nutrition? No, you don't. And so I'll never forget, like, she wrote me the next week. She's like, my husband is just not okay with me doing this, says that this is all fallacy. And so I'm just going to go back to my husband's programming, which was 3 to
Bro,
4 ounces of white meat, 5, 6 times a day, greens, no cereal, no granola, no treats. Cheat meal on a Friday night, you can have 2 slices of pizza. I'm like,
yeah, it sucks to be you, man. What other
yeah,
fuckeries do you remember from our competing days? Because you were with a different coach. My coach at the time was the billboard of fuckery. Like if
yeah.
fuckery had a poster child, they would be it. What other like nonsense do you like? The hours of cardio? What else?
The first thing of fuckery that I can really think of, to be honest with you, is doing a certain photo shoot with a certain someone in order to get a certain guaranteed placing. Or maybe not a certain placing, but a certain just that your eyes that you'll be seen. You won't be looked over, because you'll be a part of that group.
Uh huh. Uh
That
huh.
was the first form of fuckery, and I delayed that as long as I could. It was about 3 years. I delayed a photo shoot for about 3 years. I think I finally ended up having one, and I was like, maybe not. Maybe did I even ever? Yes, I
You
did. Yes,
did.
I did.
You did. Yeah, but it was like the ones that you did were the ones like outside and not like studio like stuff.
Yeah, not like in the high school, the students' elementary background in the studio with the brick in
Hilarious.
the back. Okay, that's the first one of fuckery.
Did you ever, because I don't know if this happened to you, and I don't know if you were dating Ryan at the time, but I was already with my husband then, and my coaches at the time pulled me in a room, and I quote, "You need to stop posting photos with your boyfriend." He was a boyfriend at the time. I swear to God,
You're
because
lying.
I swear to God,
What?
because it's not good for business.
What? That is crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like,
That
ma'am,
is insane.
yeah.
You're like, "What?" And then you're probably like, well, how old were you then? Like 25, 26?
I was not even that. I think so
When you already
probably like
started when
20 24. Oh no, I told them to fuck off. Like I was like,
like
that's my life, and if posting the person who is part of my life is going to be bad for business, I don't want that business because it's just a whole bunch of creepy dudes wanting to look at vagina, and I'm not here for it.
exactly, and, like, when you're in your mid-20s, like, you're dating because well, back then, I don't know about now, people are getting married way after 30 now, but when back I feel like 10, 14 years ago, everyone that was my age and I was, in my early 20s, we were dating to, like, find the guy. We weren't dating because
To
there was
hoe
Tinder
around.
left and right, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
was like, you were dating to, like, meet a guy and
Yeah.
be serious, so yeah, no, that is insane. I never had any I didn't have any serious boyfriends when I was competing. I met Ryan almost 6 months after my last Olympia. So, he was coming in on the tail end of, like, my eating disorder therapy and,
Hmm.
that whole journey. But I will tell you that if you were I don't know what even I can't even find the words because it's so gross, but there was a group of women, I feel like right before us. right before the bikini girls started coming on, that would do these weird photo shoots. And I know the bodybuilding industry can be very bizarre at times. But these girls were like pouring chocolate syrup all over them in these weird photo shoots. They were doing weird themed photo shoots and in on this horrible website. And my heart hurt so badly because I really wanted to tell those girls as a model, like where I
Yeah.
was working and I was getting paid for these large companies to like represent them, that I was like, you are ruining your image all for clicks that I don't even think you're getting paid on. And I was just like, my
Yeah.
heart for them. I felt gross inside for these women.
I 100% agree with you. And I think we were very fortunate as well, me, you, that like people who were involved in with magazines and things like that took a liking for us. And they were able to kind of have conversations with us that they oftentimes wouldn't have with other people. So I'll be forever grateful for that too.
Yeah, and honestly, like Nat, you and I, we do not come off as women who are like predatory. We don't come off as weak. We are very
Yeah.
opinionated. Predators tend to stay away from women like us. Like
Facts.
they want to go for someone who's an easily pushover that doesn't say no,
Yeah.
that says yes to pretty
Yes.
much everything, or they can feel like they can pressure them into an easy yes.
Mm-hmm.
You and I very much so come off as like, don't fuck with me
With
or fuck
me.
anything that has to do
Yeah.
with me. Okay.
Cute. Fuck
Yeah.
off.
If someone tried to fuck with me at any point in time during then, I would have screamed it to the fucking rooftops and I would have let it
Same.
know. And it would have been bad for someone if they ever fucked with me.
Yeah, same. I've had people in the industry make some comments to me like that they would probably get away with like not getting punched in the face with a lot of people, and it was very close for me to not like jumping on this person's neck and freaking ripping his eyeballs off. So you talked briefly like about when you met your husband Brian. Can you tell us
Mhm.
how you met him, because I love that story.
No, I met him at Supercross actually. I seen him at a photo shoot signing. So Ryan owned this company called Poseidon Applications Group. They provided security for like high-end athletes or
Mm-hmm.
celebrities.
Okay.
And so Monster would use them to do any of their events where they were going to need extra security for their higher end athletes. So
And can you tell why? Because I think he's a badass, even though like he doesn't really boast around it, and you don't either. But why did he have a company like that?
yeah, so my husband is a former Navy SEAL. I am very proud of him because he's a wartime Navy SEAL. He has combat deployments. And that's a big difference because so many people are like, oh, my husband's a Navy SEAL. I'm like, but did he go to war? Does he have combat? Does he?
Yeah.
And I feel like such a snob when I say that, but he's like a very highly decorated team
Sniper,
guy.
and he's a
Yeah.
sniper, is it? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a sniper and he's just a great person. Not only is he a great person, he's a great man.
Hmm.
He's just a nice person, good person. And so we met in Vegas. We were both working an event. We don't even live here, right? And we go to the Supercross and we're at this autograph signing and I just seen him across the room and
And you're
I
like,
just
what's up?
oh dude, I was like zoned with him. I just couldn't believe like I was like that is the most perfect looking human being I've ever fucking seen. What?
I'm dead. And you made kids that look just like him. Your kids, you need a maternity test. But anyway, keep on going.
I know. Well, they did come out of my vagina, so that's my only maternity test. So yeah, I mean, I saw him. I couldn't believe how perfect he looked. I told my manager that was there at the time, like, oh my God, that guy over there is like the most insanely fucking hottest guy with a big jaw I've ever seen in my life.
The jawline.
Yeah, I kept on looking at the jawline. I was like, that's what I was attracted to. And I left because I was working television that night. And I look back as I'm walking away, and my manager's over there talking to him. And I'm like, oh my God, she's probably telling him that I like have this giant crush on him, like
Oh,
me, like I can't believe it. And then I talked to her later on that day and she's like, I was like, what'd you say to him? And she's like, oh, I just invited him to the after party tonight. That's all. And so then whatever. I don't end up seeing him at all at the event. And then later that night, I go to the Vanity at the Hard Rock for the after party. And all of a sudden I get this tap on my shoulder and I turn around, it's him. And he goes, I just want to tell you that you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. And I was like,
Say that again. Can I record it? Say that again. Let's
yeah,
take a selfie.
I know. I was like, how many other bitches do you say this to? Because that was perfect. Well, shit, am I the first one or am I the last one? Well,
Should I feel honored, or is that like just a typical pickup line? Tell me.
exactly. And so he was like, yeah. So, and I was kind of speechless. I kind of was just sitting there stunned because nobody's really ever came up to me and said that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my body demeanor, my posture, what it is, but I'm not like a girl who was always hit on a lot.
Yeah.
It just like all the guys who ever like hit on me were the good, like there was only one, maybe two guys that it was always someone meeting me through someone else who put in a word. It was never like, just like Ryan did, where he just came up
Yeah.
and was like, hey,
That's some balls.
yeah. And so anyways, it was a great night. Like we chatted all night long and then we ended up going on a date the next week and it's
When was that? When did you guys meet? How long ago was that?
May 2013. My 10-year anniversary is coming up in 3 weeks.
That was like right after I met Roger in 2011, but then we were
Yeah.
kind of like doing the long distance.
We're going back and forth to UK, right?
Yeah, yeah. Roger was first in England, then he moved back to Northern Ireland. That's awesome. I love hearing like stories like that because I think it's so cool when it's just like random people that meet oddly, like that it's not necessarily an introduction because I almost feel that it's like meant to be. You look at him, he looks at you, and you're like, you're my person.
That's exactly how I felt it. I literally like everyone used to say to me, "Oh yeah, like it was love at first sight," and I'm like, I think that is what I experienced. I had a totally euphoric moment when I saw him for the first time, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, that
Yeah.
is like, who is that?" And he is the most perfect looking human I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I love it.
He tells me all the time, like, or he used to tell me all the time, like, I mean, I had seen you for a couple of years and I just thought, like, whoa, look at that girl with that big ass. You
Big
know? Oh, shit. Like, she's like on another level. But he was in a relationship. So, and he was traveling all over Africa. And so I'm like, I never saw you. Even his best friend who was working the security events with him or for him would say, I saw you at so many events. How can you say you never knew me before meeting me? And I'm like, I never saw you.
Because you weren't with him. That's why I never saw you. So, and then I know, like, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. You guys split up for some time. Things got a bit messy, got back together, got married. You got pregnant. I still remember when you texted me telling me that you were pregnant with Hunter because you were like, like I had just had my son.
Yeah.
And you messaged, you're like, oh my God, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I didn't think I could get pregnant, to be honest with you. You know why? Because for all my fitness competitions, I lost my period for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Even with the weight fluctuation up and down, it was still messy and I knew my hormones were all over the place. So I really didn't think that I was going to just get pregnant all of a sudden. And so all of a sudden, we got married. And then 6 weeks after we got married, I was 5 weeks pregnant. And so I'm like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
Fuck. But yeah, so.
And can we talk a little bit, because I remember that I asked you this back then because you didn't share on social that you were pregnant with Hunter, and I asked you several times like why, and you never could give me an answer. And obviously it's none of my business, so I was like, okay, whatever, she does whatever she wants to do. Why?
Because you know why? Okay, well, first off, I'll tell you right. I did a calendar every single year. I just didn't do one this past, for 2023. I've done this calendar for almost 10 years. Well, my calendar, I got pregnant in the summertime and I'm like, shit, my calendar is going to come out obviously like Thanksgiving time and I'm going to be due. And so I actually was more so thinking like, I don't want to share that I'm pregnant. And then people be like, I don't want to buy her calendar because she's pregnant, that's weird, buying a pregnant lady's calendar. I think that's probably went through my head. I was only 26 at the time. So I probably also thought in my head, I don't want to post about it because I'm like the first girl out of all the out of all the girls that I was working with to get pregnant, and have a baby. Maybe not the first one, maybe the second or third one, but
Do you regret it?
I do regret it. You know why? Honestly, I regret not being good at social media completely because now looking back, if I would have shared about Hunter and being pregnant, I think I would have gotten a ton more women followers at the time. And I didn't capitalize off of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not like, I don't look back at it and be like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I had mainly men at the time following me. I only had like 8% women following me. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to share about this yet. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to put it out there.
Okay.
And I sold my calendar and I sold out
Uh-huh.
pretty early.
Yeah, but you always sold out on your calendars, though. How like, and now being a mom, and then I know that you were trying to get pregnant with your daughter for some time, and you were very open about that. How long did it take you to, if you don't mind me asking?
Honestly, it took like 3.5 years, 4 years, but
Uh huh.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. Me and my husband have never used any kind of like protection or like birth. I've never been on birth control. I hate birth control.
Mm-hmm.
Never pulling and praying either. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
it's just the gap between my son and my daughter is 5.5 years. So it's a big gap to not have a baby. And so come to
Mm-hmm.
find out though, it wasn't never because of me. It was because of my fucking husband. And since has these injuries, he takes a millimeter of TRT testosterone, like
Uh
basic
huh.
testosterone a week, just to stay up with like it helps with joints and inflammation recovery.
Yeah.
And he's 43, I'm 33. So we're 10 years of difference. And so
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of injuries from being in the teams
Yeah.
and it helps him out. And so come to find out that literally shuts down sperm function across the board. Like it should be basically spermicidal.
Okay.
If you didn't want kids, you just bone when your man's on running testosterone and you'll be fine. He had such a bad problem, right? Because they can't
Mm-hmm.
produce sperm.
Yeah.
So, well, they just can't produce the sperm, the amount that you need to get pregnant. So, anyways, finally, after a couple of years, we went to an endocrinologist, a fertility doctor, and they said, Dianna, you're fine. And then they tested Ryan and they're like,
Oh.
yeah, your sperm count's low. What are you doing? And he's like, I don't know. I take testosterone, TRT, one unit a week. And they're like, well, it doesn't matter how little you take. As soon as you start taking it, your sperm function is greatly. So it took like 3 months of him taking HCG and Clomid, and he was back in action. And I got
And then you got pregnant. How old is she now?
She's almost a year old.
Ah, she's the cutest. They look
She's so
exactly the
cute.
same. So funny. Yes. What and I love hearing this because it is a big transition when you are, Miss Supercross or doing fitness competitions, doing calendars. Your body is your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we're not sex workers, but our bodies are, no offense if that's your jam, not ours. But
Yeah.
so how challenging did you find to watch all the changes going on with your body during pregnancy and navigating that with what was expected or what you thought that was expected of you in the fitness, in the modeling world?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, this might piss off some women because I I'm very, I don't know, I guess I don't have a lot of struggle with this. Once
Hmm.
I started counting macros and I was feeding my body proper nutrition, I was able to bounce back so fast because I don't count macros, but
Hmm.
how I habitually eat now,
Hmm.
very much so as if I were counting my macros.
But I'm not talking so much that like the after, but the whole process, because like during pregnancy you don't have control of your body, and then whenever you are competing, you literally have control over the ounces that you lose.
Yeah.
So I think it's more so the lack of the letting go of the control and watching the changes.
Well, I don't I you know what? I just ran with it. I didn't
Okay.
think I didn't have body dysmorphic. I have girlfriends who look at their body and cry that they're pregnant and cry not in a good, like they're
Mhm.
crying their body's getting big and
Yeah.
bulging and all that stuff. I was never like that with Hunter, especially with Hunter. Now with Penny, I gained a lot more weight with Penny, which is very bizarre because I was not eating as much as I did with Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was throwing up every day and it was hard for
Mm-hmm.
me to get down fluids or food,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't know if it was just extra fluid that was running through my body or what, but I gained probably 10, 15 pounds more with Penny than I did Hunter.
Did you find that hard to watch and have no control?
It was hard to look in the mirror and be like, fuck, I have my work cut out for me when I get this baby out of me. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. And you know what? To be honest with you, my body is not what I'm used to it being at now, but I'm breastfeeding and I exclusively breastfeed. So with Hunter, I lost my milk because I wanted to diet and get in shape 4 months postpartum. I lost my
Yeah.
milk within a week of starting that counting my macros and being in a calorie deficit. Now with Penny, I just started working out at 5 weeks postpartum twice a week. And I
Mm-hmm.
ate regularly, like
Yeah.
as needed when I was hungry, listening to body cues. I didn't think I'm going to just go ahead and cut my food now. And I lost all the baby weight, within 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is kind of dope. I didn't have to go on a stringent. I didn't have to restrict much.
But let me ask you a question. Do you think that because I experienced the same thing the second time around, I was more like, whatever, man. Do you think that is because you know what is coming? Like the first time around, is everything is unknown. And then once you are able to get back in shape after the first time, then the second time comes, you're like, I know it's going to happen. So let's just trust the process and enjoy the process.
Yeah, I did that too. I wanted to enjoy the process. I didn't want to have to be like, I have to cut out ice cream because I'm like, fuck that. I'm breastfeeding. Like,
Ice cream is
I
life,
should be
man.
able to eat the ice cream and be fine with it. But there was like 1 week I remember I didn't drop any pounds. And so I was like, okay, I won't eat any ice cream this week. And then the next week I dropped like 3 pounds and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
eat my ice cream again.
Yeah. It's without stealing the one bar from the supermarket.
Yeah, no stealing. I now buy 10 canisters of ice cream now.
Facts, same. So, you and Ryan have a very what it seems to be, and I say seems to be because obviously we don't live near each other, and as you know, what you see on social media sometimes is not. But knowing you, I know that you wouldn't be putting out bullshit if you weren't true. But you guys seem to have a marriage, a partnership. Even after kids. And I know that you have spoken about before in interviews that I've heard of you that it's important to you to stay connected. Have you noticed a difference, from having one child to having the second child to stay connected? What are the things that you do stay connected as a couple?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you bottom line. I don't think I've really told many people that Ryan and I view each other as number one. Like he doesn't put Hunter and Penny over me.
Yeah.
If the fucking house was on fire and he had to rescue all of us, he'd rescue me first,
Mm-hmm.
kind of scenario. And I'm not trying to be selfish or
No.
a poor mother when I say that. It's just more of a biblical principle. I came before the babies and
Yeah.
I can make babies.
Yeah.
I love babies. I think I would probably want to off myself if anything ever happened to my babies. But Ryan and I just view each other, we are each other's pedestal.
Yeah.
So we are homies. We're tight.
We're
He
homies.
also, Ryan is very interesting. Ryan was a total slut before me.
My husband was a hoe too. He
God,
denies it, but I know he was a man hoe.
I always say, you were such a slut. And he laughs and he goes, they were all practice for you, honey.
Hey, valid point.
He doesn't
Valid
say,
point.
yes, I was a slut. I fucked everybody, but I just know he did.
Yeah,
And so I just say, like, what makes me different? We were just having this conversation the other night because I posted about divorce on my Instagram
I
and
remember that. I saw that post.
it got a lot of play. And so like on our way home from Phoenix, we were just having conversation about marriage and kind of like what makes our marriage, what it is. And we definitely view each other number one. Like I said, we do go out on dates. Like people are like, oh, well, the kids and this and that. And
Yeah,
I'm like, that I will figure it out.
same.
Get the fucking babysitter. I will drive down to my parents 2 hours if I have to for us to
Uh-huh.
go out, whatever it is. Like, and then not only that, we go out and we go get fucked up together. Like
Yeah,
people are, oh, I can't party like that anymore. I'm like, fuck that. We're going out, we're partying tonight. And it really does help us to have fun because if you don't have fun with each other, you're gonna start sitting there and thinking like, why am
What
I
have I
married to
done?
what if, yeah, why am I with this person? And it's like, I watched this one Lifetime movie that they say it's like one of those corny love stories. And he says, where did the music stop? Where
Yeah.
does the music stop for you? And that's like implying like, why did you ever stop having fun?
Yeah.
When did the fun stop? Because if you lose fun and you lose friendship, you lose the dating, all the exciting things you did in the beginning. And then they say, oh, well, I can't do that because now I have kids. I'm like, I just went to Spain with my fucking 5-month-old baby. Okay.
You need to do that because of the kids. Because if you have a shady marriage, what is it that you're leaving for your kids? I
Yeah.
100% agree with you.
Yeah. So we're tight. We're homies. I'm really blessed. I feel so corny when I say this because I know so many people say it. He's my best friend. He really is. He really is my best friend. Now, does he do things that piss me off?
All the time,
Absolutely.
every day.
All the time. Yeah. Like I try to get him. He's he's always had the teams or like some kind of person or duty to tell him what to do for the day. And we were just having this conversation. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've had to create my own schedule and I have my own dreams, my own aspirations. Who do you think woke up at 5 a.m. to go to the fucking gym 3 times a day, every day for months on end? Nobody
Yeah.
was making me do that. I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
That was my choice. And I got up, I did the work. And so Ryan is kind of in this like limbo where he's learning how to be his own boss because if he doesn't have a schedule set up every day, he'll just fuck off. He'll be like, oh, and he has so many things to do, but since he doesn't write them down and like schedule them in, so like if he when he was in the teams, if he had log PT at 2 p.m. or he had a dive at 9 or whatever it was, he had someone there telling him what to do. So I just told him, I was like, you have to tell yourself what to do and act like it's someone else telling you what to do.
How do you navigate that with seeing so much potential in him? I mean, with his background, with his ability, and seeing that it's not that he doesn't want to put in the work. Obviously, somebody doesn't become a little Navy SEAL by being lazy. It's
Right.
just that he's so used to that structure
Yeah.
that and you being like, I know you on a personal level, you are go 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 24/7, and you're never going to pull the mom card. Oh, I'm busy because of my kids. No, I'm going to get shit done with or without the kids. That's it. So
Right.
how do you navigate being his partner and talking to him in a way when that probably frustrates the living shit out of you?
I do. And you know what? It's me learning how to be respectful to him, even when I'm frustrating, has been probably my biggest challenge in our relationship. I'm pretty decent at it now. There are times, don't get me wrong, where I still lose my shit.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I just try to sit there and I think about how I feel. And obviously, you go through the point where you're angry about how you feel. Then you just have to learn self control. You have to learn how to control your tongue. There's
Mm-hmm.
a reason why the Bible says control your tongue. Because the tongue can spew so much shit
Mm-hmm.
that regret. So just really instead of creating what could be a bad argument because the way I say it, if I say it poorly or if I say it disrespectfully, I just come across and I'm just like, hey, listen, we need to do a schedule because not only is we need a schedule for him, but it's also for us because we can't we teammate the kids.
Yeah.
Like I have to work for in a 3-hour block and I can't have Penny around me. He has to take Penny. And it's
Yeah.
like this Hunter has activities after school every single day. So like today, I can't do all those activities. So he's gonna go take Hunter to his jujitsu and he's gonna go take Hunter to
Yeah.
gymnastics and he's gonna take Penny with him so I can get some work done. So it's
Yeah.
just like I said, we've been together 10 years. We did have
Yeah.
that 6 breakup 7, 8 years ago, but it's just really about wanting to be better for yourself, which will
Mm-hmm.
make you better for your relationship. I didn't get better because I wanted to do it for Ryan. I wanted to do it for me. And really, I think that that's the difference is you have to want to be good because you want to feel good about yourself and how you are acting towards your partner.
How does it like? Does it ever make you I don't know if the words I'm going to use resentful, but it might not be the right word when you feel like you're like doing all the things, and then you also have to kind of like tell him to do the schedule and to stick to it and things like that. Has it ever been something that has happened to you?
Oh yeah, no, I don't battle with resentment. I battle with frustration.
Frustration, yes, that would be the better word.
Yeah, that I do because you know why? And this is I get frustrated because I say, Ryan, there's so many dreams and
TikTok,
aspirations.
man.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't do everything. And if you and I are on the same page, then I need you to pull some of the weight. And so we've been really busy lately because we have this giant project in the back of our yard going on right now, and he's
Yeah.
heating it all up. And so to try to get him to do some other things with this, because he's so focused on running all these subcontractors, he gets like, he'll be like, I can't do that because I'm working on the pool or whatever. And I'm just like, girl,
They are the same person. Like my husband and Ryan, same person. Like Roger comes from the professional sporting background, which is very similar as far as like being regimented and having time for everything.
right.
And like, come on, man,
Yeah,
TikTok.
I know it is. They're just kind of on it, just like the teams. The teams is all like being an athlete. That's how they're treated. They're not treated like you better be here at 9, you go home at 5. These are your duties every
Yeah.
day. It's not like that. They're jumping out of helicopters one day. They're going to dive the next day. They're going to log zoo the next day. They're traveling here for a new school that for 2 weeks the next
Yeah.
week. Like they're not this like normal military job. So it's like his whole military career was not this like regimented 9 to 5 kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so, he had a lot more freedoms than a lot of the other military does. So it does get frustrating because I'm a lot more, I wouldn't say so much structured, but just I can get a lot more done in a short amount
Done.
of time.
Yeah.
Whereas it'll take him a lot longer to get that one thing.
I can relate so much.
Teammate, man, I have to sit there and be like, okay, so I got to get this done. You got to get this done today. And that actually I found really helps. Like when we get up first thing in the morning before the kids are up and we sit there and like, what are your duties today? What are your duties? What do you have to get done today? What's our
Uh-huh.
schedule? And then we just line it out on a piece of paper.
And you guys started a business together as well, didn't you?
Kind of.
Okay.
I just do his customer service.
Okay.
He started an ammo company. So he sells
Yeah.
ammunition online. And
Hmm.
I handle all of his customer service, his emails.
You
And
deserve a medal, man. Like customer support, like that was the first thing that I outsourced in my business. We talked about it because I'm like, I'm gonna have nobody left if I keep on doing this. So I better outsource this to somebody who is not so emotionally attached.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm gifted at it. I call myself Captain Kiss Ass because
His says I'm deceased.
because I literally just have the gift to when someone's flipping out, I'm just like, no, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I will lose my shit. I finally lost my shit on this old guy who hung up on me because he sent in multiple emails apparently, but they didn't make it into our email inbox. And then he didn't get an order confirmation. His order was already on his way to him, but he ended up flipping out on me, hanging up on me. And I just sent him a very bold text. Let me just tell you that.
Bold text. I love it. I love it.
I'm just like, fuck you.
And did he? This is going to be my last question because I see you like literally juggling all the things. Like we're talking right here. You have Penny. You're breastfeeding Penny. You already told Brian to do something. He's already whispering in your ear. Like I'm tired just watching it. And you have never used your kids as a reason as to why you haven't, had built a successful business, which you have very successful business with Salty Honey. So what would you say to women who constantly tell themselves that they can't do something, that they can't, like, oh, I can't work out, I don't have time, or I can't chase my dreams, I can't do that. Like they're always using their kids as a barrier to living their best life.
I just tell them if you have a dream and you want it, you're going to make it happen. You just don't truly want it if you're not willing to figure it out. And my biggest thing since having Penny is learning how to get enough sleep, because if I don't get enough sleep, I will not operate my business well. And I can't operate well as just overall, which in order for everything to work around me, I have to be
Rested.
energized and rested. And so learning how to get a proper night's rest, shutting off the phone at 9 or 10 p.m. and going straight to bed is actually very difficult for me because I work overseas a lot. So I'm working, at nighttime. But I just tell women, girls, if you truly want it, you'll make it happen. When you have a goal and you have a vision, there's so many distractions that can be pulling you down. Just envision a ladder. At the top of the ladder is your goal. and you have 10 people on each side of the ladder trying to pull down the ladder. That's what life is. That's just life in general. That's not it. Once you have one kid, just throw in another kid. It's who gives a shit at that point.
Facts.
Who gives a
Facts.
shit at that point? I can't give a way to be like, well, do this and it'll help you be better. I'm just like, if you have a goal, you're going to fucking do it. You're going to do whatever you have to do to get to that dream and that aspiration. So it doesn't matter. Before I had kids with Hunter, competing, I wanted to win shows. I wanted to do good at the Olympia, and I did it. And I wanted to be Miss Supercross. I did it. I wanted to be the face of action sports, and I did it, and I'm just same thing now with like being a wife and a mother. I want to be super uber successful, and I want to own real estate, and I want to be a great mom. I want to teach everything that I learn. I want to teach my kids. And so I just take my kids with me everywhere I go.
I love that.
Hunter's 6, and I tell women all the same shit. I say, just do it. Oh, how do you do it all? Just fucking do
Just
it.
do it. Yeah.
You can't figure it out until you start to do it. And then you're like, okay, if I want to do those things, I have to start rearranging my schedule. So it's just like, it's about scheduling and just hitting it.
I'm going to touch on another point, and I'm going to wrap up because I know that I want to be respectful of your time. But I think you touched on something there that is, you have goals. And from everything that we've talked about and from knowing you, you always had very clear goals of where you were and where you wanted to be. It wasn't just like the whole, I want to lose weight. The whole idea of like, I just want to, okay, how much weight do you want to lose? By when? You have always, from what I'm hearing, that you always had very clear goals of where you were and where you want to go. It wasn't just like intangible kind of, if it works, it works. No, you knew where you were going. And I think that is a lot easier to know what you're going to do when you know where you're going.
Right. Yeah. Especially as you get older, you kind of have to figure out like a roadmap a little bit. Before I used to be just seat of my pants. Fuck it. This is what I'm doing now. I still am a lot like that because that's just who I am. It's in my DNA. But now when you have a family and you have a husband and it's not just all about you anymore because you don't have any attachments, you have to figure out how to be able to make those dreams and those goals work while still maintaining your family life. And the big key is keeping your family life happy. You can't
Yeah.
do certain things and then everyone else, starts to become miserable because you're not hitting your dreams or aspirations. So it takes a lot more work, a lot more juggling, and a lot more multitasking when you're a wife and a mom of 2. But if I can do it, anybody can do it.
And I find as well that it becomes a lot more rewarding too, because whenever you're accomplishing all those big goals, it's not just about you. It's like something.
Yeah.
It's like something that you're building for your kids, and it's not just about you buying the coolest car that had just come out. It's about you, being able to put your kids through a proper education and all of that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I work hard just not only because I know that I need it for my own mental prosperity, my mental state, but I
Hmm.
also work hard because I want my family to have a wonderful life and I want them to learn how to be able to be self-sufficient without an employer when they're older. So,
Yes.
that's really my goal now in life is to just have a prosperous life and, keep learning and gaining wisdom and expanding everything that we have going on and then teaching it to my kids one day.
I love it. Didi, thank you so much for your time. You are absolutely goals. I love to see going back what like 12 years ago or something like that. Fuck, we're old men. And seeing what you've made of yourself. What a great woman, mom, wife you have become. Like having your shit together because whenever we look back we're like, oh woo, yeah, yay. And then seeing that became somebody as successful as you, as having your shit together as you, with a beautiful family. It's awesome. It's really cool to see, to watch, and to be like a spectator of it. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Where can people find you, Didi, before we wrap up?
If you guys are listening and you want to follow along my life, the best place is, of course, Instagram. I don't really do anything else. It's just Dianna Dahlgren on Instagram. My husband is Frogman5326. He's really popular on Instagram as well. He actually got his Instagram deleted about a year ago. So he's trying to rebuild it, but not quite there yet. He only has like 20,000 followers. He's so sad. But
It's so sad.
but yeah, him and I both we like to have fun and we're honest as well. You know, we're not afraid to share our opinion on world issues. So yeah, if you guys want to follow along, Instagram is going to be your best place.
And I want to add to this because there have been some things in the past that DD and I have not seen eye to eye, and you have always been very respectful with how you navigate your views, and I respect you a lot for that.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.